Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Coffee in the Corral. I'm Abigail Hobbs. We have Zell with us right here at this moment. Mwah. Good morning, Zelenka Breeze. Hey, everybody. I'm sitting out in the corral today. If you're watching the video, you can see Zell here with me. We have a little wind today, but it's at my back, so I think it's going to be okay. So I didn't have to be in the horse trailer today. So hopefully we're not going to have quite as much chaos as we did last week. Anyways, for whatever it's worth. I mean, Zella's the mascot, right? She's over here right now getting some itchies on her face. They're losing so much hair with this wonderful warm weather coming in. Oh my goodness. Itchy ears. She's shaking her head. Okay. I'm so glad to be here. Another week. I'm so excited that it actually feels like spring now. I had this conversation with Nate yesterday. We were driving into town. I said, you know, things, I'm sorry, like, okay, let me, I don't know if this happens to anybody else, but sometimes I have a hard time putting into words what I'm trying to say. Let me take two. Let me try that again. So I was talking about how I'm excited. Oh, Zell's right at the camera right now saying hello and messing it all up. Zelenka Breeze, could we have a moment? Hey, leave it alone. Thank you. Okay, she's probably, oh, she made it crooked. Hold on. No, now she's going to itch her butt on the fence that it's on. Good Lord, this child, it's like she demands attention. Okay. She went to itch herself on a tree. All right, we're back. I was talking about how I'm excited how with Freedom for the Taking, my nonprofit organization has really started, like I'm seeing the benefits of the hard work that me and my partners have been putting in the last year. Like it's finally starting to feel like, oh my goodness, like people are excited to hear about it. I'm reaching more people. People want to know about it. So now people are requesting to like meet with me. Last week I had 3 different meetings set up. People that were just interested, had heard about my nonprofit, were interested in learning more. So like I'm excited because I said it's the thing of kind of like when on the calendar, when it's like first day of spring, but it doesn't feel like spring. And usually those first few weeks, even first month is like, it's supposed to be spring, but it's still getting really cold, and the weather's just so up and down, and the storms, and so it's that time of season that it's starting to actually feel like spring, like it's warming up. It's not dropping down to below freezing at night anymore, even though like I'm in a jacket this morning, and it's a little nippy with the wind. We have this beautiful sunshine, and it's going to get up to 70 degrees a day. So it's so refreshing. Like it actually feels like spring now. And I'm really excited for my nonprofit because it's starting to actually feel like it's a thing. Like maybe it is working. Maybe, you know, all of the hard work, it's like when you sow seeds and you fertilize them and you water them and you do all the things to kind of prepare your soil and then nurture these little seeds, you start seeing the growth come up, and it's so exciting. So anyways, I'm just super excited. So I've been thinking about what I want to talk about today, and you know, this whole thing with really having to change and deciding to make a change basically in my career path, you know, like not even just that, but really my personal path. Make a change in everything. Let's just say what's true. Change everything. It's been so scary, and I've talked about that, and we've talked about change is scary for humans, and deciding that I was going to shift from being a horsemanship instructor to a zebra coach. That was a huge change, but it felt right. The timing was right. It felt good. Like I truly believe that all of my experiences up to this moment has prepared me for this new season of life. So I'm just so excited about that, but it still feels so risky. Just every part of it, every aspect is risky and makes me nervous. And, I think one of the biggest things about my nonprofit that makes me the most nervous is it's truly just putting myself out there, because freedom for the taking is not really anything if it wasn't for my experience. It was born out of my experiences of my life, right? And why freedom is so important to me is obvious, because I grew up in a cult for 26 years. I have been in captivity most of my life. So this freedom thing is so important. And it's like this is what has brought me to this place. So it's not like freedom for the taking, oh yes, it's this, separate thing. It is me. So it's literally feels super risky, because it's like literally taking my insides and putting them outside of me every time. Every time I talk about freedom for the taking, every time I meet with somebody and we network and I share my passion and I share about my organization, it's literally like taking my heart and putting it outside my body and saying, here, look at this. And it's so fucking scary. It feels like I'm asking people, even though I'm not asking them, it feels like it's like, I guess maybe it's wondering inside, are they going to see this as valuable? Is my heart and my experience is going to be valuable enough to them? Will they see the value in it? I know there's value in it. I believe that I have great value to offer the world, but will they see it? Will I be discounted because I don't have a college degree? Like, it's all of those things. And so it's risky, but at the same time, it's like, what's a word? It invigorates me. It's invigorating because, and I looked this up some last night because, guys, I'm a brain nerd and I love learning about the brain. Taking risk is actually really healthy for our brain. Now, you have to separate. There are risks that are not good and not healthy, like smoking and drugs. Those forms of risk taking can be very addictive, but small risk taking in daily doses is really healthy for us. It keeps us pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zone. So it's like continuing, kind of forcing your brain to continue making new pathways, putting yourself in positions where you are not sure, is this going to turn out in a positive way or in a negative way? So the way that you have to be willing to do something and take that risk, it actually, our brain gives us dopamine, which is the feel-good hormone. It produces that when we take risk. And that's why people that become called adrenaline junkies, they here comes Elle. She's gonna she is literally going to graze on the grass directly in front of the camera. So now you are being blocked by Zelenka's mane, because she's like, yes, the grass right here is the best. I swear, this horse is so fucking funny. I love her. Anyways, that's why you have adrenaline junkies. People that love jumping out of airplanes, like the skydiving or roller coasters. They just can't seem to get enough of it because it produces that hormone, that feel-good hormone. There are people like me that the roller coaster thing, like, that's too far. It doesn't produce dopamine for me. It just produces massive amounts of, I don't know what it's called, but I'm going to die hormone. So that does not feel good. I do not like roller coasters. It's just funny, but it's interesting because for some people that they totally dig that feeling. I was thinking the other day, I used to run through the village. Okay, you got to picture me 16 years old, and this was 100 acres of cow pasture. And when we first got it, it was just complete abandoned cow pasture. So there was cow bones everywhere, and there was weeds up over your head. I remember getting lost because There was no buildings. There was one really, really old farmhouse, but then everything else was just really hilly and just really full of weeds. And so part of it was woods. And anyways, as we inhabited that property and started like mowing and planting, we planted an orchard. So, you know, I learned the lay of the land. I was outside all the time. I was going out to the horse pasture all the time, and I used to go outside at night and just run across the village. And you have to picture all these hills, and I was running through an orchard of trees, apple trees, and I don't remember all the different fruits that we had. Anyways, they never really grew anything. I don't know what happened, but I mean, they grew trees, but they didn't necessarily grow the fruit. But I think it was one of the things where they started it. They really didn't know what they were getting into, and they didn't know how to care for it. So whatever, it died. But it was this beautiful orchard, and I knew the lay of the land so well that I could run through it at nighttime, pitch black, no flashlight, just by the light of the moon. And sometimes it would be so dark because, you know, that would be like a sliver of moon, that I would have to just rely on my memory of, even like, we're talking, this is not like, there's holes and there's divots and there's little ditches and things like that. So you have to, like, you could totally break your ankle if you didn't know what you're doing. But like, I knew it so well that I would challenge myself and run as fast as I could barefoot through the orchard, down this hill, all the way out to the pasture. And I don't know, it's probably over, you know, between like a quarter of a mile to a half a mile, that I would just run as fast as I could. And I felt this like massive rush of adrenaline because I didn't know if I was ever going to run into a tree. Like, I was pretty sure I knew where all the trees were and where all the little divots and the little dips in the ground were, but there's always that thing of like, you can't have it that perfectly memorized. So it was like this adrenaline. Sometimes I'd forget, and there'd be like a little bit of a drop in the ground, and it'd be like, oh my God. But I could run, and one time I saw this really dark shadow at the last minute, and I darted to the side, and I barely missed running smack into the tree branch. It would have probably knocked me out. But that, to me, I was telling Jennifer about this the other day, I was like, that's the kind of risk-taking I liked. It felt more in my control. A roller coaster is out of my control. I'm buckled in, and then, oh my God, like if I need to stop, I can't. I'm just stuck until it's done. So this other thing of like running through the village in the dark and fast as I could, and, you know, seeing if I could navigate the world by memory, that was a kind of risk-taking that was in my control. And I loved it, so I used to do it all the time. And it was fun. There was a couple times I think I hit a hole and like fell and rolled, but I never broke anything, and I would just laugh at myself and move on. So I guess I was really lucky, but it's that risk-taking that produces this, not only it produces this adrenaline that makes us feel good, but it also challenges us, pushes us out of our comfort zones, helps us to continue growing new pathways in our brain, and always encourages us to evolve. You know, like, I think when we are young, we always think about what do we want to be when we grow up. And then when we grow up, it's like, oh, I will be this thing, whatever. Maybe it's, and a lot of times it's not the same one that you want to be when you're young. Sometimes it is, but then it's like we become this thing, and then that's it. Now we're this thing, and this is what we do. Like, no, you can continue to change, and you should, right? I mean, in nature, nothing stays the same. Everything's always continually growing and evolving. So, Dale, leave her alone. Leave her alone. She's fine. He's trying to bite at Raina. Leave her alone. Thank you. So to allow ourselves and challenge ourselves to continually take little risk, put ourselves out there, to believe in ourselves, to try new things, like that is so good for us. So good for us. And if you're feeling like blah in your life, and you're feeling stuck, you're feeling bored, you're feeling depressed, this is a really healthy way to help you out of that. I was reading up on just how it helps people that struggle with depression and loneliness and anxiety. Risk-taking really actually is helpful. That healthy risk-taking. I have to really make sure I'm saying the right thing, because You don't just go buy a pack of cigarettes and smoke it all. That is very risky and not wise. But maybe dig deep a little bit and ask yourself, what are the things that I want to do in my life that I'm afraid to take the chance of doing it? It could be really simple. It could be something as simple as like asking your friend to have a meet up and have a girls' night out, or trying a new restaurant. That's a small risk that you're not going to die, right? I mean, unless food's poisonous, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there are small ways that you can take risk. That's really good for you. That can feel good and help you start experimenting and exploring. So I wanted just to touch on that because I thought this is really valuable. Even though risk taking is risky, because we can't be sure of what the outcome is. That's the whole point of life, though. We cannot be sure of what the outcome is, but we take these little risks anyways. Like, that's how it's kind of a gamble of how we have to live our life. I was talking to my partner Jennifer this morning. We were having our morning conversation, like our morning check-in, and she's like, well, I know you have a lot of stuff to do today, and I hope it's a great day for you. I hope you get it all done. And I said, yeah, I hope so too. It was like we had this moment of silence where we're just like, but you can never know. And then she says, you never know what the day holds. And I thought, well, that's true. Like, I can have a plan to get all these things done, but who really knows what this day is going to hold? But as soon as I thought that, and as soon as she said that, it's other thought popped in my brain. I've just been thinking about it this morning. I don't know what this day holds, and I cannot control what may come about on this day. Everything. There are things that are in my control, but there's a lot that just like happens. But the dog gets sprayed by a skunk or something. Like, those things are going to be out of my control. But I can't hold. I don't know what the day. Sorry, let me get this right. I don't know what the day holds, but I can hold myself. And to me, that means I can stay grounded in who I am and continue to believe in myself. No matter what shit the day throws at me, I can still hold myself and belong to myself and return to myself and ground myself, and whatever I need to do to hold myself. That is the most important thing, is for me to be able to every day, no matter what comes about of the day, I am always, I have my own back, if that makes sense to you. I can hold myself, I have my own back. I will return to myself and do whatever I need to do, be flexible, make the adjustments, but not, I think for me, the learning point is to not let my day just like throw me this way and then throw me that way, and like I'm just getting tossed about by this storm from all the crazy, unexpected things that happen in my day. Instead, being like, yeah, there's going to be crazy, unexpected things, but like, I got me. I got you, girl. We're going to navigate all of this together. So I thought that was a cool way of thinking about it. Because it can be really frustrating when we feel like our day takes over and rules our life. So, food for thought. Anyways, okay, so the other thing I want to talk about, hold on, let me drink some of this amazing coffee. People, if you have never made your own almond milk, you need to try it. It's not that hard. It is a little time consuming, but I'm just saying, this coffee is so good. All right, I'm done advertising about that. Okay, so risk taking, the other thing I want to talk about was, hold up, I wrote it on a paper because I knew my brain would go crazy. Okay, learning curves. Oh my gosh. So starting my nonprofit, Freedom for the Taking, and my previous business was LOL Haven, which is the name of my farm. It's still the name of my farm. But it was LOL Haven Therapeutic Horsemanship Adventures, right? So I've had to close that business down and pivot to start my nonprofit, Freedom for the Taking. But Before I started my nonprofit Freedom for the Taking, one of the first steps that I did was two things. I started a blog. I started blogging every week, Bike to Type, and I started this podcast because I knew I had to start somewhere. I knew I had to do something, and I didn't know what it was, but I had thought about doing a podcast for like a year, and so it was like, okay, I'm just going to start with whatever I know. So I started blogging, and that was part of my healing journey, and I continue to do that, and this podcast. So I have these different things that I'm doing, but on top of starting my nonprofit Freedom for the Taking, and they all are along the same line, but it's like juggling 3 balls. They all belong. They're all the same kind of balls, but they're different. So anyways, last night I realized that I got this notice on my email that I had that my bank had to pull money from my savings to put into my checking account because I had overdrawn, because I had this $192 that was taken out of my bank account. And I was like, what? $192? I didn't order anything for $192. What is that? So I went to Nate and I was like, what is this? Like, somebody took $192 from my bank and it had to take it. It wasn't available on my checking, so I had to pull it from my savings. And long story short, Nate went to go check it out. Found out that it was my Bike to Type blog. It was the yearly subscription. And it had pulled it out of that account, which used to be my, well, not used to be, it currently is still my LOL Haven account, which supports my horses, but I don't really have a lot of money in there right now since I don't do horsemanship lessons. But I didn't realize that my blog was connected to that account and was going to pull money. Anyways, thankfully I had some money in savings for the bank account to switch the money from, so I didn't have this fee for, not having the money in my checking account. Anyways, I was like, oh my God, I just felt so overwhelmed last night. Like, I didn't know that money was going to come out. I didn't have enough in there. I wasn't ready. I've been trying to put money into my savings, and now it just got yanked out. And so I just felt frustrated. I was talking with Nate about it, and he said, honey, it's just a learning curve. It's just a learning curve. It's all new. And we're, it's okay. We'll figure it out. And for me, the type of person I am is so hands-on that technology is very difficult for me. So if I save money, or this is how I'll kind of always done my money. It's called the envelope system, where I actually have the cash and I put it in different envelopes, and I put on those envelopes what that cash is for. So that's how I'm used to doing it. That's what I've done my whole life. Because to me, I'm I can see it, I can move it around with my hands, and it makes sense to me. So trying to figure out how to have money online and move it to these different accounts and make sure and Freedom for the Taking isn't making any money. We just started it. So I'm trying to take my money I get every week from Nate and put some in my Freedom for the Taking, so that I can, have that to be able to get what I need to start my organization. But I got to make sure I have it for the horses, and then when they need hay, and they need salt blocks, and we got dewormer, and there's all these things. So it's I'm trying to juggle, making sure I can, and I'm failing at it. It's hard. It's difficult. I'm trying to be wise. I'm trying to be wise about it, and at the same time, I want to save money for Jaden's graduation and taking him on a trip, but then there's this, and this needs this, and so I just don't even know. It's at the stage of the process. It's at that stage in the process where, I'm not sure where I need what, and every week it changes how much I get it, because it depends on how much Nate makes, and so it's just, oh God, I don't need to bore you with all the details, but it's a huge learning curve is my point, and trying to figure it all out. Feels like a messy spider's web, and then I'm just dropping balls, but it's just got me thinking about okay, so this learning curve, that's exactly what it is. It's just learning. And learning's good. Learning is really good for me. It's really healthy. And my tendency is to get frustrated and be like, I can't do this. It's not going to work. I don't know how to manage money this way. Like, I need the cash in my hands and I need to be able, but I know that's not going to work because I can't carry 10 envelopes around with me all the time. I mean, I can, but that would be annoying. So I just told myself, like, instead of being frustrated and upset at myself, I have to just keep reminding myself it's a learning curve. I'm going to figure it out because I can. I'm smart. And it's that whole mindset that, like, I'm not smart. I don't know how to do technology. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at figuring out percentages and numbers and all this stuff. Like, no, like, I can do this. So I'm reframing that for myself today. And I wanted to bring that up because I think as humans, we're all afraid to put ourselves in positions or even allow ourselves to be in positions where we are doing something we're not good at, we've never done. It can be so scary. It's like if you're asked to try something you've never tried before in front of a bunch of people, like, that is so scary. Okay, and I consider myself like a brave person as far as, like, I'm not as afraid to look stupid as some other people are. Like, I can be kind of crazy and, like, but there's always that, there is a part of me that's reserved, I promise. But there's some areas of my life where, like, I'm not scared to do something stupid in the grocery store. If it's gonna make somebody laugh, I'll totally do it. I love making people laugh. But then there's the other part of me that's, like, trying to figure out this, learning how to manage different businesses and different accounts. Like, that is scary for me. I'd rather be a clown in a grocery store, So each one of us has different things that's hard for us, and it challenges our brain because we literally do have to allow ourselves to not be good at something for a while until we're good at it. But the cool thing is that, like, isn't that supposed to be life continually? Once we get good at something, then we put ourselves in another position where we have to learn something we're not good at. Like, that's so healthy for us. So I'm trying to just breathe deep, give myself a little grace and say, hey, it's a learning curve. You're going to figure this out. Things will even out. Eventually I will make enough money to be able to, like, put into my account with my organization to where I'm not, like, freaking out trying to move money around all the time and figure out what comes from what account. Like, I know this is a season, right? That's what I'm telling myself. So if you're in that season, or if you want to take some risk and you want to learn something new, I highly encourage it. It is so good for you. And just how beautiful of a world it would be if we all were in that mindset of, I'm going to challenge myself all the time, every day. Maybe a new little challenge here, maybe a new little challenge there, but we so easily can get stuck in ruts, and we so easily can get stuck in who we've maybe always been and think this is just who we are, but it's not. I promise you. You can be whoever you want to be. That's the beauty of it. You have the power to literally change your brain. And guess what? Your brain is you. If you can change your brain, you can change you. Like, what the fuck? That's powerful. We're like goddamn gods ourselves to be able to change ourselves. What an amazing gift. So, I don't know where we're at. Seeing if I'm talking too long or not. Oh, okay, we're good. I don't know. Some of you might be like, shut up. Anyways, one more thing I want to talk about. So, we have risk taking, we have the learning curve. And what ties really well into that, and beautifully in my opinion, is this wonderful, exciting, adventurous change that Nate and I have made in our life to become a non-monogamous couple. So welcoming Jennifer into our relationship has been that really big risk and a really big learning curve. So if you can imagine, it's like basically the most risky thing you can do and the biggest learning curve. I mean, if you are in a heterosexual relationship, you're probably listening to this and thinking, I don't know how in the hell they did that. And I don't know how in the hell that could ever work, because I could never do that. If you're saying that or thinking that, I get you. That would have been me. Totally. Except for when I realized that I was bisexual, and Nate was the one that brought that out to me. Like, as we started discussing what moving forward in our future looked like, this felt very right for us. Like, so right that it was no denying it. So even though it felt so risky, and is honestly so risky, because isn't love risky? To love is risky. To open your heart to anyone is risky. Right? So it's, even though it was so risky, we also knew, like, without a shadow of a doubt, that it was right for us. It was the right thing. It felt so good and peaceful. Even though it felt scary at the same time. It just was like, yes, this is exactly what we're supposed to do. It feels exactly right for us. And so taking that risk, the work of it is the huge learning curve. I mean, just if you can imagine, most of you can remember back to when you first got married or, partnered up with somebody. There was so much to learn, right? You had to learn each other, then you had to learn to live together, and you had to learn to coexist with this other person, and, your personalities are so different. Well, you just add another person into that. And it's like, there's this book, and I can't remember the name of it right now. It's about non-monogamy, and it's a really good book. But the point that this lady makes in the book is that she says, in a non-monogamous relationship, you're really forced to treat each other and communicate and behave in a way that you should in a heterosexual relationship. But when you're in a non-monogamous, like, you have to, or it's not going to work. But she said, honestly, it should be this way in all relationships. This makes every partnership good. It's just when you're in a non-monogamous, if you don't communicate and you don't, and you aren't willing to learn and be flexible and really challenge yourself and to not get lazy, I think. You can't get lazy in the relationship. And she was making the point that, in partnerships, usually like heterosexual partnerships, like people get married and then it's just like this is what we do, and then we get married and we have kids, and then like, it's like this, almost like this pre-written formula out. But the problem is it also can breed laziness and lack of respect for each other, and you just kind of fall into these unhealthy behaviors that you can still stay married, but not really be crazy about each other anymore, not do a good job communicating with each other, not be very intentional. You can get away with that. Doesn't mean you're going to have a great marriage. I have seen tons of marriages where the couple was bitter. They didn't even like each other, I swear. But in a non-monogamous, like, it brings in another dynamic where, like, it forces you to communicate all the time and to be very clear and to state what your boundaries are, to say what you need, to be able to have autonomy, but respect other people's autonomy. Like, it's hard. It's shit hard. But it's awesome because you can't be lazy. You can't, it doesn't work if you just, oh, well, to hell with it. I'm just going to do what I want and, they'll sit home and watch TV or whatever and not care. Like, no, it brings in that other dynamic which shakes it up and it forces you to really communicate and to make sure that you're clear. And I've had to do so much soul searching and digging into myself. Like, why does this trigger me? Why does this frustrate me? What is it that's making me want to pull away? Because of the dynamic of the third person, it's really forced me to grow. So even though it's this huge risk and it's a ginormous learning curve for all three of us, it's been really beautiful. I have seen so much growth in my partners. I have experienced the shit hard work that I've had to do to really own my own stuff, not put that on my partners. It's hard, but it's so beautiful. And I wanted to bring that to the podcast today because I know that it can be easy to hear about these things that aren't the norm in our society right now. I think one day they will be, honestly. Because I think we're starting to realize that we don't have to stay stuck in this one way of doing things in our culture. That's not the right way. It's just the way we've done it because it's what we've been told to do. So I think it's been kind of neat to see society working hard to say, hey, people throwing up, like, no, like, we're not going to stay stuck in this way of thinking. We're not going to be shamed for a different, deciding to have a different way of life and loving who we love. But, oh gosh, I lost where I was going with all that. Anyways, I think that I was saying that I think there will be more of it eventually as people are able to see, but like, there's so much goodness. There's been so much goodness. And it kind of all circles back to how healthy it is for us to constantly challenge ourselves, to take more risk, to believe in ourselves, to try the things we really want to try that we're scared to try, to learn things that we're not good at and become good at them, right? And to experiment and explore. Because I would have said to the whole world on a rooftop, I will never have a non-monogamous relationship. I would have said that my whole life until I came upon this opportunity and realized this is amazing and this is who I am. So being able to embrace that has just exploded the growth in my life. You ever seen an area that explodes with growth when it's springtime? Like what was just brown before and looked like a bunch of sticks, all of a sudden is this beautiful bush, and there's flowering and there's plants growing all around it and a tree above it, and you're like, whoa, that just exploded with goodness. Like, that's how I feel. And I believe we all can have that. You don't have to be in a non-monogamous relationship. You can work hard though to make maybe your heterosexual relationship better, or your partnership better, whatever it is, even your relationship with yourself. Like, we can continually keep working towards having lives that we love, right? I think for me, it just really all comes back to that. The whole taking our freedom and not accepting this lie that, well, this is just my life. This is who I am. This is my life. It's just kind of boring, but whatever, I've had people tell me that, like, my life's so boring. Like, you have a fun life. And I hate that because I'm like, you don't have to. You don't have to. Like, you're choosing to. You can build your life how you want it. And yes, we don't know what the day holds, but you can hold yourself and you can change your own self. And you can explore and experiment and challenge yourself. So that's it. I'm going to wrap up. Now I'm like re-saying the same thing 100 times. I love you guys so much. And I keep coming back because I am so excited to share the beating heart inside of me, to bring it out, to show the world, because I want everyone to thrive in their lives. And if you're not thriving, take some time to ask yourself why. And then what can I do? What small changes can I make? I love you all. Have a beautiful week. Enjoy this spring that actually feels like spring now. And I'll be back here next week with whatever is on the plate to talk about, right? It's just life. So, love you. And I'll get some pictures. I'm going to go grab some pictures right now of my horses. They're eating on the other side of the... They weren't here at the beginning, but they went outside to the other part of the corral. So, I'll get some pictures of them for you guys. Check it out on my Facebook page, Freedom for the Taking. And I'll see you guys next week. Mwah! Peace out. Bye.